Today you're going to be learning about TB disease or tuberculosis. What specific bacteria causes TB? So tuberculosis is caused by a bacteria called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This bacteria usually attacks the lungs, but it can attack any part of the body such as the kidneys or spine. What are the physical characteristics of TB? It is 2 to 4 micrometers in length and 0.2 to 0.5 in width. And it looks like little rods that are usually close together. So what are the behavioral characteristics of TB? It spreads to person when an infected individual coughs or sneezes out the bacteria, and the method of movement is sticking to the insides of lungs, kidneys, and TB disease are most likely to spread to people you spend time with every day. So where does TB bacteria live and function? So TB usually affects the lungs, but it can also affect other parts of the body, such as the brain, the kidneys, or the spine. TB disease in the lungs or throat can be infectious. It also needs high amounts of oxygen to survive. Symptoms of TB. TB has signs and symptoms of cough, fever, night sweating, weakness, and blood coughs. But sometimes people with TB disease don't actually show any symptoms. So how does TB spread? Tuberculosis spreads through the air from one person to another. The bacteria spreads when a person with TB in the lungs or throat coughs, speaks, or sings. And if you have latent TB infection, you should take medicine to keep from developing TB disease. Who is given credit for discovering TB and when? On March 24, 1882, Dr. Robert Koch discovered Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which causes TB. Where in the world has it affected people now and in the past? So in the late 1800s, TB was mostly spreading in the United States and in Europe. Tuberculosis is now found worldwide but mostly found in Africa, the West Pacific, and Eastern Europe. Also, a total of 1.5 million people died from TB in 2020, but worldwide, TB is the 13th leading cause of death and the second leading infectious killer after COVID-19. How has TB affected people now and in the past? In the 1800s, TB disease killed 1 out of every 7 people living in the United States and in Europe. In 2018, 1.7 billion people were infected by tuberculosis bacteria, which is roughly 1/4 of the world's population. Testing of TB. There are 2 kinds of tests that are used to determine if a person has TB, the TB blood test and the TB skin test. The blood test uses a blood sample to find TB infection in you. A TB skin test is performed by injecting a fluid into your skin on the lower part of your arm. If you take the skin test, you must return within 48 to 72 hours to have a healthcare worker look for a reaction in your arm. What are the implications of applying science interacting with TB and the social factor? TB illness can worsen poverty, food insecurity, and malnutrition. And global issues like war, migration, and inequality tend to undo the progress made in the fight against TB. Prognosis of a patient. If you get tuberculosis, you have to get antibiotics on day 1 of tuberculosis symptoms. And if you keep taking antibiotics every day, and by month 3, most bacteria should die. And by month 6, you should be cured. But if you don't get the proper treatment, by month 1, you will see TB symptoms. By month 2, more symptoms show up, and by month 3, you're probably going to be dead. What are some other points concerning TB? So some points concerning TB are that 1/4 of the people on Earth are infected with TB. Also, TB is a leading killer of people who have HIV. And another one that I haven't mentioned is that almost 10 million people around the world became sick with TB in 2014. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. And here are my sources.